Hey guys, just wanted to drop a quick note before the show starts today. We are currently working on a way to restructure the show for you guys to be able to give you guys, the value you guys are looking for, where you're looking for it. And I know you guys have heard us mention Anchor many times at the end of the show, sometimes at the start. And for this Monday, we really want to make a push to get you guys over on Anchor. We're going to be doing some new and exciting things. Both that's going to be exclusive to Anchor and exclusive to YouTube. So we definitely appreciate you guys being over here on the YouTube channel. But for this week, we're just going to be uploading the audio just to kind of help that push a little bit, So definitely head over to the Anchor. We'd appreciate to see you guys there. And I'm not going to make you stop what you're doing to go download it and find a good platform to use and all that nonsense at this very moment. So enjoy the show. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to The Motivating Force. Joining me as always here on the set, we have host Sway, an aspiring Marine Corps officer who's finishing up ROTC and his bachelor's degree in the criminal justice field. And myself, Justin, a motivational speaker who's always more than excited to share all of our wonderful ideas and topics with you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about how to be assertive without being a douchebag.
Ooh, he said a bad word.
More specifically, we're just going to be talking about really how to kind of control your environment, control the situations around you, and making sure that you have this level of
Respect,
right? So I kind of think back to the SpongeBob episode on this, and honestly, instead of watching this, you guys should probably watch that episode instead. There's a lot of good lessons to learn from that. But no, seriously, it does remind me of that because I think of how Plankton was up in SpongeBob's ear the entire time telling him like, oh, you need to be more assertive because you're such a pushover. And he ends up getting the whole town to hate him. And then Plankton kind of pops out of his head and then they realize, oh, it was Plankton the whole time. And they kind of, I don't know, serve him up like a golf ball with a baseball bat, right? And just kind of shoot him out of the city. But there is a lot of truth to that episode. And some of my points actually are kind of
from that episode.
So let's get into that, right? Because there is a difference between being a pushover, being assertive, or just being a douchebag. And all of it comes down to the situation you're in. You want to be stern with a child who's asking you an innocent question. And at the same time, you want to be understanding and patient with somebody who's trying to get one over on you. So how can we develop a form of authority, a form of respect without coming off as unapproachable?
Well, first, I want to say that this is a great topic to pick because this is something that I've had long conversations with my girlfriend. And for people that do work in an office type environment, those are usually the kind of workplaces that kind of take advantage of the really nice people, the people that enjoy doing their job, the people that like going above and beyond. Those are the places where these managers or these supervisors will kind of wring you out, use all that energy that you have and kind of like sucking it all dry without giving you any benefit for it or the respect deserved, right? So then you become a pushover in their eyes. So then what I've had to talk to her about is kind of standing your ground, getting the respect back for what it is that you're doing. You're giving more time, you're giving more energy, you're doing tasks that really are above your pay grade and they're not going to match that pay grade. There needs to be some give and take here then.
Right,
so then
you better
this
be
is
getting those extra days off then, right?
Exactly. Or getting, hey, like this is going to count as overtime, or here's a percentage difference.
Yeah.
Here's a raise because you've been helping us do this for so long. But then you don't kind of confront the managers. You don't want to make them think you're not this nice person is only going to let them know that they can keep walking all over you. So like I said, it's a great topic to choose because hopefully people can understand how to really stand your ground and be affirmative.
Yeah, and that's actually why I picked the title of this episode is kind of the situations like that in the first place, because the mindset's going to be, well, how am I going to assert myself without seeming like a douche, right? It's that simple. And that's kind of why I picked that over some of the other title ideas we could have for it, right? And in all these situations, the very first thing that we need to work on is our situational awareness. So most people are going to have a default mode and they're going to kind of roll with that. And while this is, of course, totally acceptable and it's okay, right? What it's not doing for you is you're not being able to adjust yourself accordingly, because you're going to pick your default mode and you're just going to go with it and not pay attention to anything. And depending on how peaceful or how aggressive this default mode is, it's going to kind of help define who you are. So the faster that we can determine kind of the bigger picture of what's going on around us, or what the intentions of the people who are approaching us are, the more accurate we can kind of adjust our default mode to. And this is going to give us the upper hand in really any situation that we find ourselves in.
Well, okay, so I keep falling back to like the mindset of thinking in like that workplace scenario, but I keep like having to push myself out of that and go, this is something that can be applied to anything. Any real life scenario that comes across your path, you need to be able to stand your ground, because one, it's good to be nice, but it's not good to let people walk all over you, right? Now, especially if it's people that you're just meeting for the first time, you don't want to be, that pushover, the guy that they know that they can take advantage of you whenever the situation comes. So you want to be able to learn how to really fortify yourself in what you believe in, really fortify your worth. Maybe a little callback to that self-worth episode as well.
That'd be very helpful, yeah.
So then it doesn't so then you don't start leaning too far one way or going too much into like the douchebag area. You want to be able to go, no, I'm a good guy and I know I'm a good guy, so I'm just not going to let you walk all over me, especially if it's going to come off like I am being aggressive. Because some people just want to be the alpha, the top dog, and they want to belittle you. So sometimes you do have to be aggressive about it, but you have to understand that there's a nice way to also do it.
Yeah, and with that situational awareness, that's realizing those situations. And like you're saying, whether it's in the workplace where people are, kind of squeezing the extra work out of you because you're just default too nice, or when you're just out in public and people are just trying to kind of overpower you, kind of push you out of situations, things going on around you, because you're too passive about it, right? And there is a lot to say about that. And I think the most important thing is understanding that whether you're coming off as assertive, a pushover, anything like that, right? It's all a matter of subjectivity. So an example of that is, you would think that, say, somebody in, the good old South who lives in the countryside, they're going to have issues adjusting their persona, their personality, if they were to, say, move to downtown Chicago. It's going to be a little hard at first, wouldn't you think? And one of those main reasons is their default mode is probably going to be a little too relaxed, a slower pace. It's going to be more of a helping hand, right? Things you think of when you think of the South compared to things you think of from people who come from downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there that needs to be done, and all that is based off of that subjectivity, because the person from Chicago going down to the South, if they keep that same default mode, everybody's going to just think that they're being a douche. Yeah. Whereas that's not the case. That's how you have to be up there,
No, it's funny that you bring up that analogy too, because I'm actually listening to other podcasts where people are leaving LA, like Los Angeles, and going to Austin, Texas, or just the South, right, where it is a lot calmer. And they constantly talk about how every time they do visit LA again, it's just so high strung. Everybody's just full of stress. Everybody's like on pins and needles at all the times. They're anxiety riddled everywhere. But then they go to Texas where they moved to, and now it's like people just want to chit chat. They don't feel like that's a waste of time. In LA, of course, you just try to ask somebody how the weather is. They're going to be like, shut up, I got things to do. Right? But then in the South, they're like more relaxed, more calm. Like it's just a different environment. So like you're saying, it is all subjectability.
Yeah, I think one point on that too is that, Austin, Texas, or anywhere in Texas really it's a super beautiful place. Those people over there are just amazing. And I think everybody from California who's thinking of moving should definitely go to Texas, and just take Florida off your radar. Don't even, as a Floridian, I'm just letting you guys know, just move elsewhere.
Rent's too high. Go back.
Texas is great. My streets, I can't drive down my own damn neighborhood. Anyways, back onto the point here, because that is
let's be assertive on getting people to not come into Florida.
Oh, I'm just trying to plant the seed in the back of people's heads, man. But no, really though, my second point here for you guys is that we do need to match other people's energy, okay? And I really love this one because it really is a talent that needs to be developed over time. And it is actually recorded as one of the most effective strategies all the way back to ancient times where we can find this. And it works, guys. It works. And trust me, you're not being fake or whatever people want to label it. You're just being advantageous. And only really salespeople and entrepreneurs really implement this strategy into their day-to-day living.
And psychopaths.
Yeah, but it's a shame though, because really
it gets a bad rap. Yeah.
Everybody should be using that. Like there's no reason that it should only be used in sales or it should only be used to manipulate people and be the next Ted Bundy, right? It's a good social behavior to develop because like we're saying with how subjective it is based off of your aggression level or how peaceful you are with things, all it takes is having a little too much energy or a little too less energy to be defined one way or another. So if you're doing your best to be in sync and matching the energy levels of every person you talk to, very soon you will become the most liked person around.
Yeah. And I like that you said liked person because just thinking about it, like if you're leaving your house, right, you go to the park and you're kind of just stuck in your head. So you have this kind of like gray cloud following you. You're not really a lot of energy. You're not too low energy. You're just kind of like going and you're in your head. And then somebody comes up, somebody who's been riding on the bicycle passes by and starts talking to you. If you match their energy, right? So your mood's going high, you're going to be happier. They're going to interact more with you. Might shift your mood for the day. Might get you out of your head. Might get you living in the moment for a second. Then you keep walking. Then older couple comes around the corner, low mood, right? Low energy. Start talking to them. That will then, once you match that energy, it might help you be more empathetic, more understanding of their situation or whatever it is that's happening that put them in a low mood. But if you just stay at that high when they're at a low, you're going to seem like a douchebag. So I can see where like matching different energies will make you seem more appealing, more approachable, more, like you're saying, being the more liked person in that immediate area.
Yeah, and it's simply because if somebody's matching your energy, you're going to be more comfortable with them because you're going to be like, oh, we have a lot in common.
Yeah. Or they
this
understand.
Person's more like me.
Yeah.
They understand, right? And the one example I use for this is when I was taught this lesson at a pretty young age, right? Before, me and my father decided to get into the mechanic business, right? He used to run a lot of gas station and be involved in convenience stores and liquor stores and doing all this retail work, right? And in retail, it's all about making that sale. And he was selling tickets, of course, for Disney, because as a Floridian, at some point in your life, you're going to be selling tickets for Disney.
Yeah, you work for the mouse.
It's your homage to the mouse, right?
Yeah.
And
I unknowingly work for a hospital that is partnered with Disney.
Exactly.
So there goes to show you.
It's all about the mouse down here.
Yeah.
But he had somebody come in, and mind you, like I said, this is before the mechanics business. So my dad is not one to curse a whole bunch up until we got into the mechanic business. So
then he got a new dictionary for you.
Completely. But back then, right, a little more, held his tongue a little more, didn't really curse that much, all this stuff, right? And he said, he had this New Yorker come in and they're trying to get discounts for Disney and all this stuff. And he's sitting there and just being his default mood, trying to sell this guy tickets or whatever, right? And then the guy's energy was just so high and he's being brash, he's cursing, he's like, oh, you're just trying to screw me over, all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a New Yorker.
But he wasn't leaving. It was just part of the game that he plays, right? And so my dad was like, you know what? I'll play this game. And he's like, well, if you don't want the tickets, then don't freaking buy them. Get out of here, right? If I'm scamming you, then, get the F out, right? And everybody kind of looked at him like, you did not just tell a potential customer to get the F out, right? And he's like, the dude kind of stopped, took a step back for a second, and cracked a big old smile on his face. He goes, that dude was my new best friend, and I sold him 6 tickets, right?
All from matching the energy.
All from matching the energy. And it really does take you guys really far. And being able to have more of these dramatic examples in your life as they come up will really be a testament to doing that.
Yeah, and like you said, it is a skill because for somebody who doesn't interact with a lot of people or doesn't change their mood often, to just go up to, like you said, a New Yorker who's bashful, not bashful, but who's brash and like very high strung energy, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to kind of match that. So the more you kind of play with, your energy levels and matching other people, the better you will be at it. And if you just so happen to be in sales, in marketing, in retail, it's only going to benefit you.
Getting into the final point here, we're going to be talking about honesty. There is an old saying that said, don't assume, because all you're going to do is make an ass out of you and an ass out of me. Hence the word, right? So stop assuming that people mean well, and stop assuming that people are just out to get you. Let them clarify that if needed. With this type of social honesty, you're going to need to be more forthright than anything with your thoughts. And what that means is you actually need to be sharing more of the truth than what's actually necessary. And this is going to work in your favor in a lot of different ways. One, it's going to give you some conversation pieces to go off here, and you're going to be able to actually start holding conversations with people because you're kind of just going to start letting your thoughts flow more. It's going to come easier to you to kind of speak and just get words out, right? And at the same time, with this type of honesty and this type of questioning is, if you're asking questions, people are actually going to love you more. And the reason why, they get to talk more than you do. People freaking love that. People want to talk and nobody wants to listen. So naturally, the more questions you have to give these people, the more they're going to like you because they get to speak more and they think that you're actually listening to them because you're giving this type of rebuttal, this type of feedback to them. When really, all you might be trying to do is just assess the situation better and kind of make their intentions more clear.
This is actually a lesson that I learned in college, and I use it anytime I'm training people in my job. But the lesson that I actually learned was ask as many questions as needed. Never assume. You're going to college, you're paying to be there. You're going there for a reason. And if you don't understand something, just ask until you understand. It's the point of going. You need to learn. So if you're not learning anything because you couldn't understand it, you just wasted money, right?
Right.
So I use it now in my job, my career. When I'm training other people, I'm like, listen, don't be afraid to ask me a damn question because I know it's a lot. It's confusing. These words sound similar. If you need to write it down. But don't be afraid to ask me all the questions in the world. Of course, I do like talking about my job because then it also takes time from the job,
Right.
But helping somebody understand and fully grasp the concept that I'm trying to get across to them makes me feel a lot better, because then I feel like, okay, I was successful in training him. I was successful in getting them to understand what I was trying to tell them. So don't ever assume. So that whole like honesty playing a fact into being assertive, you're not going to let somebody just, especially when you are the trainer, you just let them assume that they understand what you're saying. And then when they mess up, it comes back to you, is going to ruin both of your kind of credibilities, So then the more you get them to honestly understand something, the more assertive you can be in your position as a trainer.
Yeah, I like that a lot because the way that applies in like the real world when you're talking to complete strangers, say, or you're in a confrontational situation with people, when you're having that type of honesty and you're asking all these really blatant questions, or you're telling them to ask you all the questions, right? Either way it's going for you, you can really kind of almost shatter the confidence in people who are being fake with you and just trying to overpower you. Because you can be so honest that it hurts. Because it can get to the point where it's so simple, stupid, that you can straight up just ask somebody like, oh, so this is just a scam you're trying to... And if you really mean that with all honesty and you're breaking this down to that point and you say that to somebody, there's very few responses that they can actually give to that, And a lot of times it's going to play in your favor. And that works really well too with people who are being really empathetic towards you, and you really break these things down as you're trying to, judge energy levels or whatnot. And because if they're being empathetic and you're asking all these honest questions, then they get to speak more. They get to be more empathetic towards you, and that's always a great feeling for people. You're just making them like you more. So this really works for your side on both levels. So as you guys can tell with these 3 little tips I have here, it does take a lot of effort to develop this type of effective means of communication with people. And no matter what, there will be some people out there who are just going to kind of have this like one defined persona for you, and you're never going to be allowed to escape that in their mind. And you're going to just have to let that go. That's going to be fine. You're going to have to deal with it the way that is. But being able to recognize that is going to run into your advantage, right? But if you start implementing these 3 tips that we got for you guys today, you'll be able to have better control of the situations you're in, and you can start adjusting your body language and your energy level accordingly. And if you just decide to just lean your energy scales a little bit on the higher side for every situation you're in or any situation you're in, you're going to appear as more assertive, more defined, and more confident. So just don't be a douchebag and blow it out of proportion, okay?
It's really great. I love this episode, and people need to understand that if you do have the self-worth to back you up, to back up the confidence, to back up the respect that you have for yourself and the intentions behind what you're trying to do, being assertive with a little bit higher up energy, like you said, people will respect that. People will see that you're not doing it just to be a douche. They're not going to think that you're just being a negative, that you're just out to get them, that you're doing this for the right reason because you respect what you're doing and what you stand for, so they're going to respect that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, I do have a lot of respect, no matter what, for people who like, share, and subscribe. Give us a rating. People that leave comments, people that DM us, people that interact with us. So much respect for those people. So be sure to be one of those people, guys. If you need a way to do that, we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. You can find us on those social media websites. And of course, we're on Anchor FM as well. So anywhere you get your favorite podcasting, you can listen to us there.
And remember, all of our videos come out Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. EST. And until next time, go and get.